guessing. Okay, this looks like a good hand. My in Bolas clutches is a little bit awkward here, but I do already have one of the 2 necessary blue sources available. It's 24 tickets or 240 play points. It's not pre-release, there's no pre-release this time. It's just they start with the normal leagues already. So it's basically the same as if you were playing a sealed league at any other time, basically. Trample gets +2/+2 for each equipment and aura attached to it. So that is pretty dangerous. Though if they do put an aura on it, I can just Skittering Surveyor, get myself the island, and then sacrifice the Surveyor to give -5/-5. I think I'm alright with this. They also played Memorial to Unity, which allows them to look for a creature card in the late game. Seems like an alright Memorial to run, but it's not going to be relevant for quite a while. No! Okay, they're hitting me for 4 on turn 3. That is pretty aggressive. It's not really what my deck wants to see. I still don't think I need to kill this on site with Vicious Offering, because I can still shoot it down after they put an equipment on it. With an equipment, of course, it's kind of backfiring on me, because I don't get a 2-for-1 out of the deal. If they had just played an aura, then I think it was worth it to wait. Though I'm not certain how many auras the red-green deck would really be running, even with this in the deck. So it's kind of difficult to evaluate whether you just need to kill this on site or not. We'll be taking at least 8 damage from it. If they have another thing to put on it, it might get completely out of control. No! What the hell? Okay, I regret my decision immediately. I don't even think it was incorrect necessarily, but it is backfiring on me pretty hard. Now I can't even kill it. Oh my. I think I'm just dead. I don't really see a way out of it here. Can make this into... It still has menace, so I can't even like... what was I trying? I can't even like block it for a turn and then kill it after. I think not killing this on turn 2 is correct on average, but this is definitely backfired, and now that I know my opponent's deck looks like this, I would probably Vicious Offering it on turn 2 given the chance. So what can I draw? I have an Eviscerate left in my deck, so I'll probably just need to Vicious Offering to stay alive, or I can Sylvan Awakening to stay alive, and then I have to double block and I take 4 damage but lose my Skittering Surveyor. It actually seems slightly better, but it does open me up to my opponent just having a removal spell and killing me. Still have to top deck after this, but I think this is slightly better, because it gives me, like, it gets the weaker card out of my hand, so I have a better chance of stabilizing after. Yeah, but it's pretty unlikely for them to have 2 things on the next 2 turns, right? In an average sealed deck. Also, I don't think these, like, either of these cards are good in sealed, so... But yeah, my opponent did need to have a plan with that card, so it makes sense that they could take advantage of it. That's a super strong card though. So they played... okay. Grizzly Bear discarded. Well, now I couldn't even win anymore, even if I top decked the card that I was looking for. That was pretty insane. Is my black-white deck better set up? We can keep up with the curve a little bit more, but then the black-white deck is really lending itself to being aggressive, and my creatures are pretty bad blockers. I guess Mesa Unicorns help a little bit, because they do a good job in racing. But like, this is not a great card against them. The Triumph is pretty bad, I assume. Yeah, I don't think I really like the black-white deck for this matchup, even though the Sultai is pretty... I think I want to play like Sultai and have some disenchants in my deck. And maybe like Corrosive Ooze of my own seems good for this matchup to destroy their equipments. I can probably cut this. Maybe cut the Inbolus's Clutches or one of my other 6 drops. Or then like an Ooze and a Broken Bond. I mean, I'm aware that the black-white deck might be better. I think this deck looks a lot more, how do you say it, complete. It has all the pieces that I would want in this archetype, and the black-white deck looks like it has some of the pieces that I would want in the black-white archetype, but it's also missing some things. But it's possible that the black-white archetype is just better than this Sultai Dirtle stuff, so that even if my version of the deck is better than the version of the black-white deck, the power level could still end up being worse. I'm not certain there yet, but that's what we're trying to find out. The main reason I play Sultai is because it's a lot sweeter. So these are kind of unreliable and not great on defense, so I'll board those out. Could cut this as well and just play one less. Blue source. But then what else would I be bringing in? Like a random blocker. I'll run it back like this. Definitely want to be on the play. I think that's also just the correct way to build sealed decks in many formats. In most formats, so... Like, you don't want your sealed deck to be all Grizzly Bears, because then your opponent plays like a 3 toughness creature and you can never win. And my opponent also like only won because they teased me out with a card that had 8 power on turn 5. Or turn 4. 8 power on turn 4. Now that I know that their deck is so heavy on support cards for it, I can just kill it on sight, and then I think I'm heavily favored in the matchup. Though obviously my opponent can have more good cards that I haven't seen yet. But against the cards that they've shown me, I feel like I'm still favored. The black-white deck is likely good against the type of deck that I'm playing here, though. Yeah, that's like another pretty weak equipment. I don't even think I want to kill it here. I could Broken Bond it. Put the land into play. Putting the land into play here doesn't really do much for me. Yeah, I think I'll just let them keep their equipment and wait for something better. Might be greedy. If I had multiple lands in my hand and something to do with the extra mana, I might just do it for the double value of destroying their equipment and getting lands onto the board, but I'm not too worried about the damage prevention, I think. At least for the time being. I'm just pretty cheap to move around. Sure. They're missing their land drop and play the mana dude. It's probably just alright to kill it. It's a little bit wasteful, but I do have another fight spell. And I can freely get this Mammoth Spider onto the board while my opponent's still mana screwed. Okay, they did hit their land drop. Let's see what they can do with it. More equipment. They're just equipment tribal. Okay, kinda irrelevant. I can still fight at instant speed if they equip a bunch of stuff. guess if they equip the Shield of the Realm first, then I can't really fight anymore. I think I'm fine taking this damage. Could have also just sat back and not traded 3 damage for 2 damage, which is likely also in my favor. Okay, that one has to die this time before it gets completely out of control. Okay, crisis averted there. Get our second island and an extra forest, I guess. Oh wait, these come into play untapped as well? Wow, that's a lot better than I thought. Pretty decent. Not that I can take advantage of it at all here, but it's pretty nice that I overread that fact and it can be pretty helpful. I think I want to stop trading damage. It's awkward that I'm flooding out, but my late game should be insane enough that I can afford to just board stall here. If they put like their Menace enchantment on it, I can Broken Bonds that. What is a Yavimaya Shepherd? Okay, so kind of like the Merfolk guy from the previous set, a 2/2 that brings a 1/1 with it. Pretty reasonable card, not that insane against me. Really want to draw my 4/5 Menace that would make a bunch of zombies here. That should be a great way to close out this game. Even my Grun would be great. Like, my whole deck is full of expensive cards that are great for this type of board position. My opponent's deck seems to be mostly small dirtle creatures and equipment for it, but this type of equipment isn't even great at punching through a bigger blocker. Another 2/3. God damn it. Do need to draw something at some point though. This Mammoth Spider is still doing a great job of keeping the board under control, which is pretty nice. But at some point my opponent can just start like equipping both of their equipments on different things and alpha striking. I do have 17 out of 24 hits. Well, the number of hits is a little bit different from the number of spells that you have in your deck, but I do have a high concentration of actual hits as well though. Well, 10, 11. Well, I searched up 2 with this, but still, it's pretty unfortunate. That is a pretty aggressive sack. Yeah, they seem to just have no late game. Their deck is like all on curve or below the curve creatures and then equipment. That seems like something I should be able to win against most of the time. This one is like their first threatening creature, because with the short sword it can start attacking into the spider, so most likely I need to take out this sword if they are capable of casting the Raider, which is uncertain because they just sacrificed their land. Yeah, exactly. If I get to make an army of zombies or play like a 10/10, both of those should be good for me. Or steal their best creature or whatever. But yeah, that's what I meant with the black-white deck. Obviously my black-white deck is a little bit better than what my opponent's doing here because it has a lot of evasion. But running this type of deck in sealed is the problem. Like, my opponent played 3 cards, or I guess 5 cards, and none of them beat a single Mammoth Spider. They need assistance still to get through it. No idea why they wouldn't be equipping this. Maybe they have the fight spell. Seems a little bit strange. Still need to be playing out these lands because I have a draw spell in my deck. So that I can potentially draw into multiple spells in the same turn. Yeah. Not a lot of land left in my deck for sure. Okay, so they get to cast their Keldon Raider now. Just the first card that might be threatening. Chain Reverter, that's a great card. Though also not that great against me. Because I have very little 1 toughness creatures. It only cleans up the Rolling tokens, I guess. It's a good one. I think I'll take this out now. So that their Keldon Raider can't attack into my Mammoth Spider without additional assistance. Definitely MVP has already prevented like 40 damage or something. Yeah, well, it was kind of fortunate for me that my opponent wasn't casting spells, but obviously I would prefer to draw some spells of my own as well. Okay, so can they attack? Well, I'm kind of forced to block. Hopefully it's just a combat trick and not some damage-based thing afterwards. If they deal damage to my Mammoth Spider afterwards, I'm pretty sad. I'm not certain what card that would be though. Is it the Fight spell? Okay, that I can prevent. Against the combat trick I could have just -5/-5 the Keldon Raider, sacrificing my Alfheim Druid. And that was also fine for me, though it was smart by them to target their weakest creature. They theoretically could have re-equipped on a Frozen Druid and then did the fight. Then they even get to keep their creature. That would have been a lot better for my opponent if they had equipped this. Then it is this works for all damage, right? Equip creature, prevent 2 of the damage, yeah. Well, more lands. Because they would have only taken 1 damage on the Frozen Druid from the Spider. And I couldn't -2/-2. Well, I guess -2/-2 would have still saved my guy. Yeah, it was. Well, they would have gotten to keep their Rolling if they had done that. 4 lands left. It's not the statistic that I want to hear. Ah, god damn it. Well, it's only a fight spell, and for now all of their creatures are worse than mine. So the fight spell is not the end of the world yet. Come on, Yuzu Best or whatever she's called. There we go, that's pretty decent. It's not even that great here, but I assume if my opponent's best play was the Chronicler, I probably have to steal something to keep the board under control. I don't like just stealing a 4/3, but I think in this board position it's probably necessary. Otherwise my opponent just attacks this in again and then fights against the Mammoth Spider. Yeah, I think I have to take the Raider, but I'm not happy about it. I would rather have stolen something bigger. Not certain if that's even possible in this matchup. If they play like a Primordial Worm or whatever it's called, like 6/5, then I'm pretty unhappy that I had to spew this off. But it's trending my opponent with the fight spell in their hand, and none of their creatures can fight down any of mine. I could have taken the shield, that's true. Shield on Mammoth Spider wouldn't be awful. Juggernaut, okay. It's a pretty decent creature. Also goes pretty well with the fight spell. That's very bad for me, actually. Come on, spell. Okay. That is a good one. Yeah, because they could have fought Juggernaut on Mammoth Spider, and that would have been pretty terrible for me. Maybe taking the shield was actually correct, because my opponent's deck looks like it has difficulty beating the shield. But then the problem is they can just build a board of like 5 or 6 creatures and then start alpha striking into it. And sure, my Spider stays alive forever, but it only blocks like one of their creatures, and I take like, for example, if this stays on the board, they attack with all, I block the Raider, they deal like 12 damage to me or something, and then do it again and kill me the following turn. So I'm not certain letting them keep an extra creature and me having one less blocker was something that I could really survive in the long run. Yeah, I considered it a little bit. 2 Chain Whirlers, wow. Pretty happy that damage to 1 toughness creature is not really something I'm afraid of. This is also not yet enough to enable the fight spell here. They can fight down the Kelvin Raider, but whatever. 2 Chain Whirlers is pretty sick. So my opponent does have some good cards. Though this kind of collection of underpowered green cards is not really what I'm afraid of. Okay, they fought down the Raider, sure. Mammoth Spider still holding down the fort. Yes. Next turn I can cast in Bolas's Clutches. I guess it's the only thing that I can cast. Wow. My entire graveyard is instants and sorceries. Well, this is threatened to happen. I don't even have triple blue anywhere in my deck. So now if they fight through the Mammoth Spider, I get to recast that as well. So they need an answer for a Muldrotha here right away, and I'm not even sure if red really has... No! Well, I guess I can jump block the Muldrotha with my Elfheim. And then I take like 10 damage and can stabilize from there. Sure. So block this, block here. It's not that comfortable that they deal this much damage to me. But at least I get to like steal a creature and replay my Elfheim Druid. Should still be doable. So I think I just steal the Chain Whirler now. Wait, maybe I do want to do this first, but it does make me lose 2 life. So I have 12, 13 mana available. This spends 8, so I can still do this. I'm just not certain if I want to lose the life here. I have steal this, have 3 blockers. I think I'll hold on to this for a turn, and then if I actually do stabilize the ward, I can cast it like during my opponent's turn. No reason to really lower my life total any further when this is going to take over the game anyways. Yeah. The upside of casting this right away was that it can like dump a land into my graveyard, then I can play the land out of my Muldrotha, or maybe I get a different creature into my graveyard that I can cast from the graveyard as well. But I don't think there's any hurry. The board is pretty stable. If I get to untap with this Chain Whirler, it's great for me. Okay, more medium equipment. Probably want to board out the Prolink token spell against double Chain Whirler. And then, what else do I have in my board? I guess, no, I do still have Caligo Witches in my main deck, right? Maybe just one of these 2, and never cast this as a 1 toughness creature. Or the second Broken Bond, actually, now that my opponent has shown me even more equipment. Seems alright. Just reduce the number of 1 toughness creatures that I have in my deck. Okay, this seems like a pretty hopeless battle for my opponent, because even if they do like attack into my creature and have a combat trick to get through, I just recast it. I don't think there's any like Lava X type effect that I need to play around. I think Fight with Fire can kill me. I guess it doesn't have the new cards yet, or maybe I think it's Fight with Fire, right? The kicker spell that usually only deals to creatures. Does it start shooting players? No, it's still number of yeah, if you can deal 10 damage to your opponent if you kick it, but yeah, that doesn't make a difference here. I think I'm willing to cast this. So if I put the land in the graveyard, I can play it from the graveyard. If I put the artifact in the graveyard, same thing. So put 2 cards into your hand. Okay, I'll take the land. Whatever. Oh no, I can use the candle then replay it. That's a lot better. Let's put the land in the graveyard. So now I can play my land with Muldrotha, play this candle. This one dealing damage to me is pretty... Oh no, wait, gain life. Oh, that's great. I thought it dealt damage. Yeah, gaining life here seems great. Okay, let's kill this. And then I play my candle with Muldrotha. Pretty fair card, right? Maybe I should have tried to trade off the Train Whirler, and then if they trade for the turn... Oh, and I milled myself and now I have a Grun available. Well, we'll do that next turn. Then I can play 10-10 from my graveyard. If they trade for Chain Whirler, I can start recasting the Bolus's Clutches, so... That was the idea. Yeah, it seems alright. I think I can start attacking on this board. I have enough stronger blockers available. And if they, like, kill one of my blockers, I just recast those anyways. This is just gas. Muldrotha. Feels good, man. Only 9 cards left in my library, and I even hit an extra land that I can play next turn off of Muldrotha as well. So I can like play a land, sack my candle, replay my candle, sack my candle again, just pick off my opponent's entire board with that engine. Yeah, this is what I came for. This is a lot better than like black-white first striking and flying creatures. This is worth it. Okay, you have a 3/3 for a striker. Good for you. Yes, well, I guess I never get to recover any of my creatures or artifacts from the graveyard because they just come back for free. It's pretty unfortunate. In a very weird definition of unfortunate. So this costs 6. I have 13, 15, 17 mana available if I use this for kicker. So this costs 9, so I can do this and sack the candle and replay it. Sure. Look at my 10-10. Maybe I shouldn't even do this because of some, like, if they have another threaten effect, then I might die to this. Start threaten effect that gives trample, then it might even just be incorrect, but I do need to close out the game before my opponent can... No, I need to close out the game... Wait, why? Like before they draw a fight with fire or whatever, was my logic. If they have a direct burn spell to kill me here, I would be very unhappy if I keep stalling around and they draw that. Okay, there's an equipment that gives trample and they would have to have that and a threaten effect on top of it. So I don't think I'm too worried about them assembling that combo. Kill your creature, get my candle back, swing. Seems like an alright amount of blockers to have back. If they do have another 3/1 haste, take control. Take this. 2 blockers for me. Still survive there. I just have to like trump block with my Mammoth Spider on this Grun. And it doesn't trample. Even if they have that plus give menace. Yeah, I think I can just wait one more turn before I start alpha striking. Well, I guess, no, I can even attack with this and keep this back as a blocker. Seems slightly better, sure. Because if they, like, do manage to have a combat trick, like double block this plus burn spell or whatever, then I can just get it back with the Rona. So this one has a purpose in life. And I do put my opponent down to where they just die next turn, pretty much assuredly, because I can like candle one, get the candle back, candle the other. I did keep picking off the board, right? I mean, I could have activated this as well, but it only kills a 2/2. I can still get both of their blockers out of the way next turn. No, I think playing the monkey was actually correct. If there's no way for them to steal it and give trample at the same time. Because I still kill 2 creatures next turn. I can only play the candle once a turn. So if I had used it twice the last turn, then I only get to use it once this turn. So I get the same amount of activations over 2 turn cycles. I would just like have this activation a turn earlier, basically. So like 2 and then 1 instead of 1 and then 2. And I don't think that really helps me, because getting the extra creature on the board blocks the same amount of attacking damage from my opponent, makes it more difficult for them to stall out an extra turn. Okay, so that worked pretty great. I wanted to get this into my deck and cut this Saproling migration. And my opponent's deck is like mono mediocre creatures. I think I'm happy cutting this Sylvan Awakening. Is there like a good blocking creature left for me? This 3/3 actually outclasses most of what my opponent was doing. Can cut one of the grunts, just to keep my curve a little bit lower. Then I'm slightly more vulnerable to flooding out again. Because I do lose some density of... Yeah, I think I was mostly worried about him finding the direct damage spell that kills me. I think the board was mostly under control. And then I need to have as much power on the board as possible so that I just kill my opponent next turn. It's possible that I overlooked something that my opponent could have done. I guess this destroy a land 2 creatures can't block is something to think about, but my opponent already had a low amount of power on the board so that I wouldn't have died to this. I still had 2 blockers. After 2 blockers were disabled, I still had 1 blocker left. And they could have only attacked me for a maximum of 6 damage with equipping. So I think I would have survived a seismic shift. I was mostly worried about the deal 10 damage to any number of targets kicker, the fight with fire. Yeah, with this I'm a little bit vulnerable to flooding out. Yeah, I still feel like this is okay. If they have Chain Whirler on curve, yeah, fight with fire is busted, I agree. Sounds pretty awkward. Because if it draws a green, it's pretty good. Even then, it's not that great. I think I'll just mulligan, though it does have a reasonable collection of lands and spells. Okay, finally this Yozavest is showing up. Yeah, this looks a lot better of a hand. Broken Bond is closed though, because it disrupts all their like go big on a single creature enchantment aura stuff. But I think I would rather have another blocker or another removal spell instead of Broken Bond for now. This might backfire if they have the 2 mana 1/1 that gets +2/+2 for every thing that is attached to them. But yeah, I think I just need to fight for board a little bit more aggressively, and then any of my 2-drops, like Vicious Offering or Elfheim Druid or something, would be a lot better for me. That's pretty scary. Well, I guess my opponent's deck just has very little stuff to accelerate into, and their best cards are, what is this? Their best cards are all double red, triple red, like the Train Whirlers and the Raiders, so this doesn't even accelerate into their best cards all that well. So -2, -0 as long as 2 or more creatures are blocking it. So double blocking this is good, but I don't even have great double blocks available in the near future. Do have all my colors now though, so I can get the Swamp first, and then this gets me the second island so that I can cast all the cards in my deck. Well, for kicking this I would need an extra black, but most likely I'll just play it on curve and try to stabilize the board with the 4/5. Okay. Yeah, that seems alright with me. Yeah, definitely running this out without kicker. And then I can keep curving like Windgrace Acolyte on turn 5, and then Skittering Surveyor plus Rona on turn 6 or something, because this gets me my land drop, and then I can play this afterwards. So if they manage to kill this Yozuves or something, I have a way of getting it back. Shield, yeah. The shield just isn't that great in this matchup. It does allow them some attacks into my bigger creatures, but it doesn't allow their creatures to attack for any value. Like, they still have a 4-power creature against my 5 toughness creature. No, never mind. Well, it's still not great, because it turns into a 4-power creature again if I double block. Yes, okay, never mind. That might be a change of plans. That is definitely a change of plans, because now I want my second island, so that I can turn 6 in Bolas's Clutches. And then steal this Cyclops. Hopefully my opponent continues to be unwilling to attack into my board with it. If they were unwilling to attack into this double block last turn, they are likely to continue doing that. No. So, Menace. Damage is prevented. They could have just made this attack last turn, right? Because it would have only taken this. If I double block both of my creatures to 2 less damage, so they could have made this attack last turn, for sure, and they just didn't. Because then if I double block, they only take 2 damage on this, and they deal 4 to mine, so they would have killed a Skittering Surveyor for free. Like, I could chump block with Skittering Surveyor to gain 6 life. Still have that possibility now. Yeah, I think I'm going to, even though that gives the risk of my Yozuves dying in combat here if they have a trick. They still need the trick to trade 1-for-1 for this, and then if they keep this alive, well, it's going to stay alive anyways. But looks like they have the fight spell afterwards. That seems alright with me though. It's better than going to 10 from taking this hit and the fight spell still being in their hand. What is this? Put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Okay, that's pretty good with my opponent's deck being all creatures that are underpowered and likely to be stalled out. Still think I'm alright with this, considering I get to steal their 7/6 Cyclops now. So them growing it is not actually that big of an issue. And I also like that I kept my life total a little bit healthier, because now they might get a profitable attack this turn, but it buys me the time to untap with this Cyclops. Dragonaut's pretty annoying. Yeah. Well, they should have probably just equipped here. Yeah, that was not good by my opponent, I think, because now I can double block down this Uproaring. If they had equipped here, I had no chance of getting it off of the board. And they could still equip on the Juggernaut next turn. Seemed a little bit strange. That's a good one. So, Thalit, Omnivore, or Rona up my Joseph Vest for next turn. I think I'll just play the Thallid for now. It's a good blocker. And I can do some shenanigans where I like sacrifice the Skittering Surveyor to have better blockers. The 3/1 haste that takes control of my creature costs 7, right? So my opponent's pretty close to that, actually using their Elfham Druid. But I can still sacrifice my creature to the Thallid Omnivore to stop my opponent from stealing anything. Seems like a pretty easy Cyclops block. And it takes 5 damage here, plenty to kill it. Well, that was not a very productive Juggernaut. And I can even protect it from the fight spell with Vicious Offering. Yeah. Yeah, discard their 2/3 gain life, that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, this in Bolas Clutches was pretty great here. So they seem to not have the take control 3/1 haste guy, otherwise they would have casted this turn and stolen my Cyclops, so I don't have a profitable block for the Juggernaut. Am I willing to cast this on anything? Can not kill any of these creatures without sacrificing one of mine. But it's very mana efficient here, and I could sacrifice this. No, I think I'll hold on to the offering. Well, that's also not bad. I'll have to figure out at what point I want to start attacking. It might be this turn where the Cyclops can start attacking, because I still have 2 profitable blockers left over afterwards. Sure. And even if they try to take control of one of my creatures, I just sacrifice it. I guess they can take control over this because I can only sacrifice other creatures. That's probably their best play, but they would need to top deck that card because they didn't have it in hand last turn. So yeah, I think this attack is pretty profitable. I guess 7/6 they can like, no, they don't even have good double blocks, even without the Vicious Offering in my hand. And the offering makes it even better for me that they don't have good double blocks or triple blocks. No idea which mana I'm supposed to keep open. I assume black, now that I think about it, because black does have a 1 mana combat trait. Okay, that was pretty sweet. I really like the Sultai deck. I'm not sure if I want to make any changes to my main deck now already. Most of the changes that I made in that matchup were to hate on my opponent's enchantment and equipment theme. I think I was pretty happy with how the main deck was built. It's possible that the double grunt is a little bit too greedy and I should just either diversify and just have a Primordial Worm, which is pretty similar but non-legendary. Don't think that's going to come up too often. It's probably more relevant that the Rona can get grunt back as a legendary. And yeah, this one I'm not sure about whether I need it or not. Also this for curve purposes, but I think I'm pretty happy with how I built the main deck so far. The Arcane Flight is a little bit sketchy, but yeah, we will see. I do like this deck quite a bit. Let's run it back.